Welcome to Matters Financial with Geopolitical from a Frontier. Trust the week's gone well. It's been a busy one. This morning my little one was telling me off because she wasn't very happy. She was very cross in the morning. She found me very annoying. And I had to be very, very polite. I'm very much looking forward to hosting His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the former President of the Republic of Ghana, from 2012 to 2017 at Mindspeak this Saturday. Mindspeak will be held this time at the Norfolk Hotel. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is a Ghanaian politician who served as the President of Ghana from July 2012 to January 2017. In fact, I think this is the first time he's speaking in public since that election. He previously served as Vice President of Ghana from 2009 to 2012 and took office as President on 24th July 2012 following the death of his predecessor John Atta Mills. A communication expert, historian and writer, Mahama was a Member of Parliament from 1997 to 2009 and Minister of Communications from 1998 to 2001. He is a member of the National Democratic Congress. Mahama made political history by becoming the first Ghanaian head of state and being born after Ghana's declaration of independence on the 6th of March 1957. And as I was reading his book, My First Coup d'etat, that was an observation I actually made, and I was wondering to myself, because there was none of that really aggressive anti-colonial language which seems so ancient now. John Dramani Mahama is married to Lordina Mahama ne Efa. Mahama has 3 children on the record named Farida, Sharaf and Jesse. He is a Christian, born and raised a Presbyterian, now a member of the Assemblies of God. His family is multi-faith, consisting of Christians and Muslims. Mahama is also a devotee of Afrobeat music, especially of that Fela Kuti, who might be listening to it. It's pretty great stuff, I must say. Found some 2 interesting photographs of Fela, one of a poster. He wrote this memoir called My First Coup d'etat and Other True Stories from the Lost Decades of Africa, published by Bloomsbury. Son of an affluent government minister, spends his childhood shuttling in his father's chauffeur-driven cars from his elite boarding school, Achimota School in Accra, to his many homes. He recalls in his first chapter the day in 1966 when he learned of the ousting of Ghana's founding president Kwame Nkrumah in a military coup. When I look back on my life, it's clear to me that this moment marked the awakening of my consciousness. It changed my life and influenced all the moments that followed. And I was very proud of my letter, and I'm looking forward to meeting him later today. Mandela taught a continent to forgive. It's a piece I found by President Mahama in the New York Times. It's really very good. If you don't know what Mindspeak is, I have a small little link. What is Mindspeak? And as you already know, the inspiration for Mindspeak came via the words I read as I entered the Mausoleum in Konya of Maulana Rumi. And there it said, "Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come, come." And powerful words. Then this morning I was going through Bloomberg and I learned that the Liv-ex 100 fine wine index is at a more than 5-year high. Increased Chinese demand has seen prices for the world's most prized wines, as measured by the Liv-ex 100 fine wine index, rise to a more than 5-year high, racking up gains that would be the envy of any stock or currency investor wary of Donald Trump's protectionist or upcoming European elections this year. My excuse is Rumi, who was very partial to a fine glass of wine. And in his Ghazal 1720, he writes, "Once more we come like dust to dance in air from beyond the skies of love. A turn on the field of love like polo balls, we roll skittering to the side, coming to the fore. Love reduces one to need. If that's your lot, it suits you, not us, who come from the beyond. This gathering's in your honor, and the guests have all arrived. But not for bread alone we come here. Pour out the fire water. As you course through our veins, made wretched by our wounds for you, thank God we come quick to life. Shams of truth, this love of yours thirsts for my blood. I head straight to it, blade and shroud in hand. Tabriz, aboil, your salt alone can simmer. We, pride of all the earth, caring for you, have come to help you stir the age up. Nordstrom added $445 million after Trump's tweet remarks, and I was thinking to myself, my goodness, the Midas touch, as it were, is going in reverse. Trump tax talk lifts US stocks to a record close. That chart is from Holger. There were a couple of tweets on my timeline which made me think of that famous Latin saying, sic transit gloria mundi. Thus passes the glory of the world. Worldly things are fleeting. I like this photograph from Kenya Pics of the Ewaso Nyiro River, which flows through the Samburu. And this house I liked, a view of the house at night, found on Bloomberg. Alec Baldwin is claiming his up-and-coming Saturday Night Live gig will be a big deal. He is as good in Saturday Night Live as he was in Glengarry Glen Ross. He is great, and probably the best critique right now of the Trump administration, I think. Political reflections: the public has an interest in free flow of travel, in avoiding separation of families, and in freedom from discrimination, the three-judge panel said in a 29-page ruling. Hillary Clinton tweeted 3-0. Vincenzo Fox Quesada: the U.S. Circuit Court serve America, unlike yourself, standing up to the hate and fear you provoked. It's no political, it's about humanity, he said. Donald Trump, see you in court. The security of our nation is at stake. Then, I learned early this morning, President Trump backs the One China policy in his first call with Xi Jinping. In his first conversation with the Chinese leader since entering the Oval Office, Mr. Trump said he would abide by the diplomatic formula that Beijing and Taipei agreed in 1992. The phone call on Thursday evening, Washington time, came one day before Mr. Trump will welcome Shinzo Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister, to the White House. The decision to speak to Mr. Xi on the eve of the Trump-Abe summit was designed to reduce the fallout from the lavish welcome planned for the Japanese leader. Mr. Abe will dine with Mr. Trump 4 times, fly on Air Force One to the president's resort in Florida, and play golf with his US counterpart. Beijing will welcome the move by Mr. Trump to back the One China policy. I'm sure they will. Apparently, Chinese and US warplanes had an unsafe encounter in the South China Sea. 2 military aircraft from China and the US had an unsafe encounter. A People's Liberation Army Air Force KJ-200 surveillance plane had an interaction characterized by the US Pacific Command as unsafe with a Navy P-3C Orion surveillance aircraft, Pacific Command spokesman said in an email. We will address the issue in appropriate diplomatic and military channels, Schaffert said. The US Navy P-3C was on a routine mission operating in accordance with international law. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he was extremely aggressive, seems to have backed down completely. Somalia should be extremely proud of this image. 3 presidents peacefully transferred power to each other, a rare image in Africa indeed. Sagal Sheikh-Ali, currently at Daljirka, where hundreds have gathered to celebrate President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo's win, President of Syria tweeted this photograph. Evan O'Connell, France's spy agency, the DGSE, believes Russia is working to get Marine Le Pen elected. And there's the article is in RFI, it's in French, I'm afraid, but essentially they've come to the conclusion that this is what Russia is doing. I wrote about this on the 5th of December when I said, at this moment President Putin has Fortress Europe surrounded. Stephen Bannon boasted his approach to documentary filmmaking was kinetic and that he sometimes tried to almost overwhelm an audience with material. Now Bannon is overseeing a new ideological production of President Donald Trump's chief strategist, and he has embraced the same overwhelming aesthetic. From an executive order banning immigrants from 7 Muslim countries to antagonizing the leaders of Mexico, Australia and France, to putting Iran on notice, the new administration has loosed a fire hose of executive actions and statements that have alarmed fellow Republicans, angered foreign allies, and sparked street protests at home and abroad. Bannon's radical approach carries big risks and amounts to a high-stakes gamble that Trump can deliver sufficiently on his ambitious promises to satisfy both his loyal supporters and those ready to roll the dice who voted him into office. The disruption strategy works only if you deliver, said the author Joseph Nye. If Trump fails to bring jobs back to the Rust Belt or to coal country, if Obamacare is repealed and something worse replaces it, or if Trump's government by tweet sparks a trade war or even a shooting war in the Middle East, then that fervent support in his political base could dissolve. Trump has used Twitter in a way which allows him to control the agenda and to set the agenda, Nye said, so when a story comes up which is not helpful, not favourable, or when he wants to get people disrupted, he throws a ball and everybody scrambles after it and neglects the story they should be following. Nye calls the president's spontaneous Twitter salvos Zeus tweets, thunderbolts from on high, that shock the body politic. If Trump's objective is to realign American politics and to create a populist party, then the appeal to his base is understandable. The administration so far has offered no detailed plans on replacing Obama's health care or how it will conduct trade policy based on its protectionist campaign promises, how it will revive the coal industry or defeat the Islamic State. This is actually a little bit closer to nihilism. It's simply a desire to destroy things, said Cohen. As for Bannon's writings and ideas, it's a mistake to dignify it too much. This is crackpot thinking. Russia and America, Donald Trump seeks a grand bargain with Vladimir Putin. This is The Economist. Pretty much everything Russian hacking may have helped Mr. Trump at the polls, but that does not mean he can trust Mr. Putin. The Kremlin's interests and America's are worlds apart. We have a deviated tomahawk. International markets, world's biggest energy companies. This is from Bloomberg. Interesting. China imports surge, and the reason is that there's been a very big change in prices. Rubber up 104%, crude oil 93%, iron ore 96%, Brent crude 81%, copper 30%, aluminium 26%, and milk 22%. And that effectively has lifted the value. Currency markets, let's take a look at those. Euro dollar 106.39, dollar index 100.66, Japanese yen 113.77, Swiss franc 10020, the pound 124.82, the Aussie 0.7641, Indian rupee 66.915. That's been strengthening. It was above 68 not too long ago. South Korean won 1149.71. The Rial 313.01, the Egyptian pound 17.7345, and the South African rand 13.4237. Dollar index, I'll put up a 3-month chart, and that key point of 99.50 is still in play. I know we went through it, but we've recovered. And, the school of thought is that protectionist policies will strengthen the dollar. Inside the crash of Fling, the London startup whose founder partied in Ibiza while his company burned through $21 million. What a story. Fling never brought in any revenue. The founders splashed out on first-class flights, Ibiza hotels, and Michelin star restaurants. The app struggled after Apple pulled it from the App Store last summer for becoming too sexually explicit. In early July 2015, temperatures were rising in the boardroom on the top floor of a 12-story office block in Hammersmith, West London. Do take a read. This fellow Marco Nardoni, 28-year-old CEO and founder of social media app Fling, had called an emergency meeting the day after his app was removed from the App Store. In the lead-up to the incident, Fling, a social media app that raised $21 million from investors, had become inundated with explicit photos built by a London startup called Uni. Fling allowed people to send photos and videos to strangers around the world. The random recipients could then chat and reply to the sender. The app also showed Flingers a map of where the Flings had landed. At its peak, Fling claimed to have 4 million users on its app, who sent a total of 50 billion messages. What a story. Gold, that's come off a bit, 12.22 last. Remember, my trade of the year was long Bitcoin, short gold. Crude oil, that's higher, $53.36. It's not going anywhere, in my opinion. Banco de Mexico, led by Governor Agustin Carstens, increased the key rate by 50 basis points to 6.25%, more than twice the level of December 2015. And as I said previously, the Mexican peso sits at the bleeding edge of Trump's policies. A man everyone calls cheese won Somalia's presidency on Wednesday by Jeffrey Gettleman. Mr. Mohammed, better known in Somalia by his nickname Formaggio, from formaggio, the Italian word for cheese, for which his father was said to have acquired a taste when Somalia was an Italian colony, was considered the protest candidate, less manipulated by foreign interests than the departing president Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed is rare on the Somali political scene. For what reason? He is popular. Crowds of ordinary people poured into Mogadishu's streets to cheer and whistle on Wednesday night. As one Somalia analyst put it, the least corrupt and most well-liked candidate won Somalia's most corrupt and least democratic election. Go figure. One doesn't want to get carried away, but really it is a very optimal outcome, I would have thought. The EU pledges $80 million aid to Gambia, so that's good, at least they're coming through with some aid. James de Villiers' small crowd People's Rally, ANC said it expects 30,000, event scheduled to start at 3 p.m. This is the State of the Nation address yesterday. What a lot of drama. First of all, government debt to GDP has all but doubled since Zuma took office. The army was in town to have a look at this tweet from Petite Pilgrim. The EFF was ejected from Parliament. Take a look at this photograph of that ejection. Then Firoza Bohren, President Zuma was interrupted and wasn't allowed to speak for a long time. He finally came up and he had this sort of chuckle, he. You step up to the podium to address a nation and the first thing you say is he. It was remarkable. I watched it late last night. It really was. Like every other day in South Africa, Sona 2017 sees President Zuma making empty promises to a crowd of applauding ANC sycophants. This is Ryan Cummings. I responded by saying a clack, which is a group of supporters who clap whenever you do anything and you take them along with you, is very much the in thing. South African all shares up 2.47% this year. Dollar versus rand, let's keep an eye on it. I'm more constructive about the rand this year because I think yesterday and other events showing us that the president no longer has carte blanche. Egyptian pound, 17.7345, strong recovery. Nigeria's president is missing in action. This is David Pilling in the Financial Times. Woof. The tragedy for Nigeria is that policy making has been so ponderous during the 20 months since Mr. Buhari took office that, dead or alive, it is not always easy to tell the difference. Under Mr. Buhari's slow blinking leadership, Africa's largest economy has drifted into crisis. What had been a growing middle class is being daily eviscerated with inflation, especially for food, damaging the poor in whose name Mr. Buhari ran for office. In civilian guise, his leadership style has verged on the invisible. And to be fair, Mr. Buhari inherited a dire situation, but as well as the president's flawed policies, he blames a bloated political system in which most of the 36 states, far too many, spend their time groveling for federal funds. The mosaic of Nigerian politics is complicated by the need to balance power between North and South, and between the plethora of regions and linguistic groups represented in the cabinet. That makes for a parasitic state, not one that can solve problems. This is a system designed to fail even if you have capable people in charge. Nigeria has drifted before, though rarely at a time of such pressing crisis. In 2010, President Umaru Yar'Adua died in office after months in which his illness had been covered up. The man supposedly in charge of the country had been literally sleeping on the job. Mr. Buhari may not be as ill as the rumours suggest. Politically, though, rigor mortis set in quite some time ago. Spot on, Nigeria returned to the Eurobond market. They sold 15-year bonds in dollars, $1 billion of 15-year bonds at 7 7/8. Initial target was about 8.5%. Even at 7 7/8, it was priced to clear. The Eni chief Claudio Descalzi has been charged with international corruption related to Nigerian licenses. This is news in the FT. Sahara reporters tweeted, Timbu Akande visit President Buhari in London. He doesn't look that great. Nigerian all share down 5.78% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange up 6.35% this year. And I expect it to do better. The spending habits of youth consumers in sub-Saharan Africa is very interesting. This is by Geopolitical. Very image conscious and are spending over 50% of their earnings on personal care items. This is according to a recent Geopolitical rapid survey carried out among youth aged between 18 and 35 in Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and Uganda. Look at this. Hair industry spend is estimated to be worth $6 billion. Africans aged 16 to 34 account for 65% of the continent's consumer spending. Tom Burgess, Cobalt International Energy, says US prosecutors have dropped their 6-year corruption investigation into the company's Angolan operations. Kenyan court says closing the Dadaab refugee camp would be unconstitutional. I attended a lecture yesterday evening at the Nairobi National Museum where Professor John Kay of the FT was speaking about financial inclusion, and he posed this question: what do financial markets do? And he answered, they trade with each other. He's obviously not happy with that. Dr. Jirogi was there. It was good to meet up with him as well. He was on the sideline. He made a very interesting short intervention, and then it was good to catch up with him. And I've been catching up with Sunny Bindra of late, and that's been appreciated. Right now, fintech is a solution searching for a problem. Fix the right problem, says John Kay. Carlyle Group and TPG are seeking to acquire Java House, where I get my coffees from in the morning. And the acquisition price is around $100 million. I remember the principal and I talking about it many years ago in ABC, when it was then valued much less and looking for a lot less money. Kenya shilling is found up to 103.50. Nairobi all share up 3.24% in February, but still down 6.11% year to date. And the NSE 20 up 5.1422% since the 30th of January, down 7.94% year to date. I hope to see you tomorrow at Mind Speak. I'm very much looking forward to this. Really, I think we're going to have a problem in space, so be early if you're coming.